And welcome on back, everyone, to episode 128 of Streaming with the Mouse. My name is Clifton Paul Robinson, and today, instead of Cam, we're going to be joined by Colin, as Cam has decided to go to the land of no internet, which is called Maine. We're going to be talking about the fourth episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi, so get ready, and you're listening to Streaming with the Mouse. And welcome on back, everyone, to another episode of Streaming with the Mouse. 127. We've made it. We're still going. Sorry, 128. We're still going. And for this one, Cam will not be here. Colin is here to talk about Kenobi, which means we're actually going to have some discourse this time.
I have what we're seeing.
I have discourse too. I have discourse too. Overall, good. I think, like, looking back at it, and you can give me your quick opinion of it as well. It's. When I say something is the worst episode so far, that doesn't mean it's bad.
Oh, I mean, I don't think this is the worst episode so far.
Of Kenobi, I think this is the worst episode of Kenobi so far.
Oh, I mean, it definitely wasn't the best, but I mean, like, the whole series so far, it's kind of been like a slow burn, kind of, which is fine. And like you guys said last week, maybe it's building up for a second season. And we're just getting a lot of groundwork, maybe. But, like, maybe we're gonna, or maybe we're gonna knock it out of the park these next two weeks, and it's just gonna blow our socks off. But
it's a slow burn, unlike Anakin. Oh, that one hurts. But we do have just a little, not actually a ton of news because everything's a little bit slower. The main thing, Miss Marvel also released on the same day as Kenobi. I do not believe you watched it, correct?
Oh, I did.
Oh, you did watch Miss Marvel. Okay.
I did.
Cam and I will be breaking that down for you, which will be released on Monday, so you can listen to it. What was your gut punch reaction? What do you think?
It's different, but maybe that's a good thing. And I think it was actually pretty good. It's going to be going in a direction that hopefully they build upon what they started with the ground, and it becomes something bigger, especially seeing as she's going to be in Marvels.
Yeah,
so
she is going to be in Captain Marvel too.
I hope that we really get development from her and, like, the whole storyline. So, like, when it does come time for her to be in the movie, she's not just like this ancillary character that we're like, oh yeah, we know about her. She's kind of powerful, but like, what do you do?
We'll see. Yeah. My gut reaction is it's the new and fresh thing. I'm using Rotten Tomatoes phrasing. I do not like that, but it's new and fresh, which is what I think Marvel needed for this Disney Plus show. I think it needed to stray as far away from the norm as possible, and I think that's what it did, especially in the first one, in the first episode. So Cam and I will be breaking that down for you on Monday. Other than that, I mean, technically people are like, oh, Stranger Things 4 did better than Kenobi streaming-wise. I'm like, yeah, because they did the entire season at once.
I don't know. Stranger Things 4 is better than Kenobi.
Absolutely. It absolutely is.
That I know this is Disney Plus podcast, but, like, that show, like, they had some weak seasons, like season 2. Season 3 was pretty good, then we waited so long. This season's been unbelievable.
But I also think it's hard to compare...
Oh, for sure.
Season 1, or one season of a Kenobi to an entire world build-up of Stranger Things. I mean, technically you can go, well, all of Star Wars before it, but I'm not going to do that.
I mean,
because I am biased. Honest, if I was comparing it to The Mandalorian, it's a lot more of a toss-up, because there's more... It depends, because they're so different. That's the fun part.
That's the fun part. Totally different.
I don't even know what you would compare. I think, like, Stranger Things... to Netflix's, in my personal and completely unbiased opinion, is what Percy Jackson will be to Disney Plus. That's going to be the, like, you're going to be getting the, like, crazy, like, Star Wars and Marvel already had the cult following.
Yeah,
you got to grow. If you can grow that child, that, like, grow with the character type thing, that's where you get it, and that's Percy Jackson will be in that Stranger Things thing, because Stranger Things captured a moment the same way like Harry Potter did. And it defines a moment in that said history. So
I like if you like. This is a correlation just going off the rails here. Just,
oh yeah, let's
this
hear
is what
it.
happens when you and I get together and Cam has no control.
Exactly. He's going to be listening to this and he's going to be like, what are they talking about?
We just go on complete 180. And like, but I like the progression of this season 4. It's like, it's tougher, it's grittier, it's more gruesome. But like the kids are older, they're high school kids.
Exactly.
Maybe things are more gruesome when you're in high school. Like,
maybe.
Listen, it's a great show. I can't wait for the last 2, and then what comes on after that.
But like my shirt says, we're here today about Star Wars. If you're watching on YouTube, if not, it's a Star Wars t-shirt. Shocker. So as usual, top 5 things. We're changing it a little bit today. We each have 4 great things and a gripe. You can start. You get to start, Colin. You can pick whichever way you want to go. You can save the gripe for last. You can save it for the middle. Your choice.
Yeah, let's save the gripe for last.
Oh, okay. And lead the way.
All right, I'll start with my my number 4 thing was how Leia was able to hold off Reva's mind, like interrogation, and it was like Leia is just now being told about like what the Force is, right? Like we had the whole intimate scene that Cam found so lovely and whatnot, and
his proudest moment.
Yeah, and she has no even inkling about like, am I like Force sensitive? Do I have anything Force? But like her bloodline is so strong that like she's so with the Force. Like even the great third sister's powers can't go through her mind, and it's not like she's been trained by anybody to be like, all right, you can't let anybody enter your mind. This is an Inception. But that was my number 4 thing. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't even know if I'm going to talk about Leia. I'll mention. Actually, you know what? I will mention Leia in a completely different set. The ending, and I'm going to talk about the ending of this episode later again too. The ending of Leia and Obi-Wan together, and she goes and reaches for his hand, is just such a nice thing. And like, they are in a sense, it's not retconning. They're providing substance to a sequel trilogy that very much lacked. We know from Leia's lightsaber hilt design, she models it after Obi-Wan Kenobi's lightsaber. We know she names her first and only child, Ben, after Ben Kenobi. And we're finally seeing why. Because episode 4, in A New Hope, we know that she says, Obi-Wan, you served my father. And also, now we do have confirmation I was wrong. It is a very rare occurrence on the podcast, but I was wrong. She does know Obi-Wan and Ben are used simultaneously, finally. I kind of don't like that, kind of do. I think it would be fun to have it be a little bit of a switch. And not just me being right, but I really like the connection they create, even though they're never going to see each other again. Whenever he leaves her, Leia will never see Obi-Wan again, except when he dies. And I think like that's the bond, like that's the imprint Obi-Wan Kenobi had on the other Skywalker, which I really enjoy.
That's a good way to look at it. I've been sitting here thinking like, going back to episode 4 when she sends the message and we all know the message, it's like from this point to that point, there's got to be some sort of disconnect where like she doesn't feel a close personal connection to him anymore. So like what happens in that? Because these two are going through the ringer right now together, and they're fighting for one another in different types of sense. Obviously, Obi-Wan's the more powerful one trying to save her, but like she's going like emotionally through so many different things in the fact that she thought, oh my God, you knew my real mother. Are you my father? Like you're a Jedi. Like all these different things she's going through that you'd think at 10 years old would stick with you for your life. So something has to happen, but hopefully that gets explained.
I think it will get explained, and also I think the whole thing is Leia's just a resilient person. We know in Rebels she's what, 15, 16, and she's helping Ezra and them steal the ships, and she's able to play it off so well. Like she's always been like this. She has always been Padme. She was always Padme with Anakin's temper.
Yeah.
Which is nice. Yeah, and that's. I hope we get more explained. She's great for young Leia though. So that was my number 4. Now you're number 3. I forgot we're doing 4, 3, 2, 1, 1.
Oh, why? You guys usually do like one down, right?
Yeah, so now you go with your number 3.
Yeah, I like doing saving my best for last.
You got to save the best for last.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, this was a cool scene. I really liked the time where, like, obviously, I think this episode is really supposed to show Obi-Wan coming back into himself with the Force. Like, he's getting that connection again. And you really see it at that scene where you get the blaster ricochet into that tunnel, which by engineering was never designed for blaster shots. Why? Who knows? And then he's holding that off, and he's still deflecting all the shots. And it's like, you've got to be really with your Force powers, or at least sensitive enough to like focus on something else completely. And I thought that was like a really good scene to show, like, oh, he's still powerful and he's coming back into it.
That's actually a very good point, because it was nice that when it was time for him, he finally kind of became himself when he did the saber flip. That, to me, I'm like, he's kind of coming back into his own. And yeah, that's a good point. And I'm going to talk about that in a different sense later. But do we get another fight between Vader and Obi-Wan?
I mean, the hope is, yeah, absolutely. I mean, because what we got was lackluster. But I mean, at the same time, it wasn't because of the story building. But like, I would hope so. But like
I do and don't.
Slow burn. I don't know if we're going to.
I do want it, but at the same time, I don't want it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way it is, because like, we do know that they are going to track whatever the path is. And I think I would prefer a Vader rampage against Rebels over Obi-Wan versus Vader.
Well,
again.
yeah, I mean, if we
because we get that final Vader Obi-Wan fight in Episode 4, which is very much nice, because like, it kind of works with 4, because when they have the confrontation and Vader's taunting him, they didn't really have a fight. Vader's manhandled him the last time. It's not even a fight.
I mean, you also look at it this way. If they have another fight, like, Vader's out there to kill. Like, there's no two ways about it. And then, like, you get that in Episode 4. He kills Obi-Wan in his mind, but at the same time, like, he doesn't, because, like, what really happened? There's no body. If there's no body, there's no real death in the movie biz. But, like, he's going out there to kill as torturously as he can. And I feel like if you have another scene where Obi-Wan escapes,
it diminishes it.
Yeah, what are we doing here?
And that's a good point. And I think if they see each other as as Kenobi is leaving, I think that would be nice, because that would lead to the rampage, and that would also lead probably to the downfall of the third sister. Which I think she's biting off too much more than she can chew.
Oh, for sure.
Which is great. It's very funny, because you kind of have to check yourself with Reva. Because if you don't like her, but you talk about how great the prequel trilogy is, she's just dark side Anakin. She's dark side Attack of the Clones Anakin. She's angry, and she thinks she's better than she is farther along than where she actually is.
Yeah.
And that's always the interesting thing.
I mean, the only difference is Anakin's just better, but okay.
Well, Anakin is the chosen one. But I'm saying where he's a Padawan learner that thinks he deserves more.
Yeah, he's got a certain place, and he
has the chip on his shoulder. And even though he's the youngest Jedi, one of the youngest Jedi Knights, like to pass the trials in ages, blah blah blah, all that fun stuff. But my number 3 is the Hallway of Horrors, where we get the dead Jedi frozen in like amber, and it's like haunting almost, in a sense, and it shows you, and it does another good thing. And my brother brought it up yesterday when we were texting about this, where the thing with Kenobi, where the sequels and the prequels can be, there are good people on both sides and there are bad people on both sides. The whole point of the original trilogy is it is a stark battle between good versus evil. And that is what Kenobi is. Kenobi is not really a sequel show, and it's not a prequel show. It's an original trilogy show, where it is a stark contrast between the light side and the dark side. And it just shows you how irredeemable the dark side is by holding Jedi dead in amber on display for people just walking by. There were people that we have seen before in canon. One of them, the guy that he actually looked at, was the Jedi Master that helped Ahsoka retrieve his lightsaber in the Clone Wars. There was a side shot of one of the Jedi Council members. I don't know what you think about this, like what it is. I think it is hinting more and more at cloning Force-sensitive beings.
Yeah, so that's what, like, I was talking to my buddy Dingo earlier today. He avid listener of the show, by the way.
There we go.
He's a big Star Wars guy. He's got plenty of thoughts and theories. But that's what he was saying. He was thinking maybe this is where they're using, because there's some thought to it, like Han Solo when he was trapped was still alive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like maybe these Jedi are still alive, or Force sensitive are still alive, so that they can be working on like Palpatine's grand plan of transferring his essence into a Force user or whatnot. They're testing the Force sensitivity of these people.
That's what I'm wondering, and that's why Grogu is such a hot commodity, because whenever Fortress Inquisitus, whatever it is, falls, Grogu's probably the last living specimen they have left.
Mm.
And that's why he's such a hot commodity. But I think, is it going to fix the sequels? No. It's going to add to it, though, in some way. But I just think it was like, oh my god. And I'm just looking on Reddit because I was looking for the names. Someone pointed out that the youngling that was frozen in it, is one of the children from the beginning opening Order 66 scene. And if that is Reva, that's the young girl in that scene, then it's literally someone she was like classmates with that she walks by every day, frozen, dead, in what I'm just gonna call it Amber. Yeah. And that would also add, oh my god, you see literally the kid you were training next to for 5 years as a Jedi.
I don't know where I was gonna go with that, but okay. But yeah, no, it's some deep stuff right there.
It is some deep stuff, and you can give your number 2.
All right. I think Cam and you made it pretty clear when we were going over the WandaVision how much I love Darth Vader and Anakin. So like any scenes with him are like some of my favorite, and I loved, and again, I talked to Dingo about it. He didn't really care for it, but I loved the whole bacta scene at the beginning. Like, you're getting the 2 Obi-Wan's in it, potentially for the first time, and Anakin lives in it. Anakin is so in tune with his own body in it. He's like, yep, this is what I'm doing. Obi-Wan's struggling with it, but at the same time, are they also becoming connected? Like through the Force, and then Obi-Wan's so afraid because, oh my god, we're connected and he's going to track me down. I got to get out of this. Like, we got to come up with something. Like, is the bacta tank keeping us together or whatever? And I just thought it was a really cool scene and like a cool connection that they could potentially build on. Like, maybe they're connected in more ways than they are, than you think, because of like in Anakin's mind, how much he absolutely hates and loathes him. And in Obi-Wan's mind, how much he loved and just completely let him down, that they've built like some sort of, I'm not going to say Force dyad, that frisky term, but a stronger Force connection that like when they're in their true metastasis status, like they're just in tune with the Force together.
That's a good, yeah. It's dyads are rare. Let's put that one out. That they have a connection as master and apprentice. They do have that. There is always going to be that. And the only reason neither of them felt each other is because both thought the other dead. That's why. And that is wondering, like you bring up an excellent point with, did they create something together again in the bacta tank? And it's interesting to think now in episode 4 when he says this, it's a present I have not felt since, and he walks away. And it would actually be even more interesting if he fakes his death at the end of this show, so Vader thinks he's dead.
Obi-Wan, yeah, that would be pretty good.
And that would make sense why he's so shocked in A New Hope when he can feel Obi-Wan again. My number 4 goes off of Vader in a different way. I'm guessing this is going to probably be your number 1, is the end scene of Vader. The end scene of Vader with the Hayden Christensen strut, I think is the good way to explain it. It's his strut. He did it in Revenge of the Sith also.
So time out before you say that. Like supposedly, Hayden Christensen's not even the guy acting him.
No, he's in the suit.
No. They have two different guys that are doing. There's one guy that sits and one guy that's walking around and doing all the stuff for him.
It's very hard because it looks like the way Hayden moves. So it's the same thing with the Mandalorian. You can never figure out who's who in the scene.
Yeah.
Just the way he walked, it was very Hayden-esque when he was Anakin. But the way that they're portraying Vader in this show is what we didn't get as children, because we grew up with the prequels where it humanizes Anakin and Darth Vader, and that in a good way. It's fine. Anakin was a good person once upon a time, but seeing like Darth Vader has always been up there, especially with older people, as the villain. He is the scariest villain. He's the most evil. He is this. And we didn't really get that because we know what happens. We know what happens to him. He comes back to the light. We see his downfall. We see why he turns and the unfair life he had. But then we also see how he comes back at the end. But this, what he was for 20-something years, horrifying. They did it. They did a great job in Fallen Order. They did an incredible job in the Darth Vader comics, but seeing it on TV is just terrifying. Like you can like feel it, and like he finally lost his grip as he goes after Reva. And it's actually funny. He lets her go at the end, doesn't kill her, and he actually uses the trick she did in Episode 4. He's the one that plants the tracker and lets the Falcon escape, and that's why Leia keeps asking about it, because she's in the know that the Empire does that trick. So they're doing a lot of callbacks to A New Hope, which I really like. They're setting a lot of stage for how things get to it.
Yeah, that was my number one. I
know. Go ahead. You have the floor.
That was fine. No, you pretty much hit it. I mean, it just shows all-encompassing, powerful Vader. Like, you don't get to see, because he's the villain in the original trilogy, you only get, like, all movie magic. You get the villain at times of, like, when you're supposed to be scared or you don't know what's coming next. Like, you never get to see his full raging power or anything. And like you said in the comics, and I texted you guys yesterday, I was like, I am so ready for Disney to just be like, you know what? We're just going to go all in on Darth Vader, and we're going to make a series pretty much channeling his. There's so many stories you could go off of with this comic. Like, yeah, we're just going to go down those storylines, and we're really going to show you how terrifying he is. We're going to go kind of Breaking Bad type deal and be like, we're going to follow the villain, and you're not going to know whether you should be supporting him or not, because he's going to do a lot of evil, nasty things.
Yes, and you can do multiple things. You can go prequel, you can go before Rogue One, but you can also do between Episode 4 and 5 and between Episode 5 and 6. There's so many ways you can go about it, because there's a slight, it's almost a year time jump between Empire and Return. So there's so many ways you can go about it, like him finding out like that it is Luke, like Lucas's son. Like there's so many ways you can go about it.
Or you
can adapt the comics. There's so many ways to do it.
Imagine going down to the whole storyline of him building his castle on Mustafar, basically, so that he can go try to find Padme in the afterlife and bring her back.
Yeah,
and then that she sees him and she doesn't recognize him because of how dark he is now. Oh, man, that'd be incredible seeing that on TV.
And bringing Natalie Portman back. So there's so many things to
Always down for Natalie Portman.
Oh, well, we're getting that in less than a month. Less than a month. And I will go with my number one. But I will also you will get the last word. You'll get the last word with your gripe. But I am going to do my one. It's a double-edged sword. My one and my complaint are the same.
Okay.
It is the callbacks to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. I really liked seeing the way Obi-Wan handled what Cal did prior in real time, like going through the water to break in, breaking the glass to escape, like all these things to save it. It was really cool because seeing the Inquisitor's Fortress in live action is incredible. It is terrifying. It is beautiful. The scene where he ignites the lightsaber and finally gets the stormtroopers is great in the darkness. But at the same time, it really felt like a ripoff because it was almost like 1-to-1 correlation for me. And so people that haven't played the video games, because not everyone plays the video games, are like, oh my god, this is new and amazing. And I'm like, I have played this. I have played as Cal Kestis doing what Obi-Wan has done, and it kind of rubbed me the wrong way just a little bit. But at the same time, looking back, I'm like, it still is cool. It still is very cool. But that was my kind of big complaint, was we kind of saw this. We actually literally played it, and that. But seeing the actual fortress was incredible, because it was just beautiful and terrifying. And that means you get the last word.
Final gripe.
The final
gripe. Said, I don't have many gripes. I really like the show. I mean, it's a slow burn, but my gripe is just the way they escape with Leia looking in this trench coat. None of that looked ordinary, and you have a bunch of these official like Empire people who are like they're all fit and proper, like they're all uniform, and then there's just happens to be this bearded man with a hat on and a trench coat, and oh, by the way, on his right side of the trench coat there's just this massive growth with potentially 2 little legs. But it's just
it's an alien. It's an alien.
And you're oh yeah, because we know the Empire just loves alien species, just to be floating around there. But you have that, and you had the whole. I don't know if you felt this, but like I did. Like he's sitting there, he's hiding out. He gets through. He gets into the building, and a stormtrooper comes in, and he just beats the crap out of the stormtrooper. Instantly, you're like, all right, here we go. We're about to look like the whole Luke going to save Leia in a stormtrooper. Now Obi-Wan's going to do it. And they like tease that so many times. And then they're like, oh yeah, no. We're just going to dress up to escape. And it's going to look absolutely foolish. And I get it. It's Star Wars. It's supposed to be like some cheesiness to it like that. But like they got past so many people without a single person questioning them. And then all of a sudden the third sister's like, oh yeah, because that's normal.
Yeah.
Everybody sees that dude.
The Empire, when you're lower level, is the definition of not my problem. It's not my problem. Exactly. Don't see it. Don't say anything. That's a good point. That is also, there were some, it's silly. At times it's silly, but also that's the thing. Like, I kind of like that they're embracing the original trilogy, because it didn't get a lot of love between, like, the prequels got Clone Wars and kind of Rebels. Rebels I kind of more consider in the prequel era, especially when it revolves around those Jedi. But this is, and Mando is sequel. Mando takes place after the fall of the Empire. It's nice to see the original trilogy and part of the goofiness get the love that it deserves, because that is the real mark of George Lucas. I will say, there's breaking news a half hour ago, not from Star Wars, from Marvel side. A Thunderbolts movie has officially been greenlit by Marvel. Jake Schreier is set to direct, and this is expected to be led by Florence Pugh returning as Yelena Belova. So pretty cool. We've expected this for a while. I'm very surprised. I'm guessing on Monday you guys will hear a much more in-depth conversation, because this is the Star Wars side of the podcast, not the Marvel. Good. I'm glad we're doing this, because that's a movie I've been wanting to see. The more darker side of superheroes. But
listen, I'm all about villains.
Yeah, Darth Vader. Well, are there
Love Thanos.
Any last words on episode 4?
I thought it was good. I mean, after 3, I expected some things to be a little bit different, but I mean, I get it. I get where they went with it. Let's see what happens. I mean, pretty much the whole premise of this episode was, all right, well, we got to go get Leia back, and we did it. Classic bad guy move. We threw a tracker on the good guys that they don't know about.
But that's the thing. That's the lovely original trilogy. That's the essence of it. I am sad there's only 2 episodes left. That's how I will talk about that. I am sad we only have 2 left.
Yep, that's it.
But we do have Miss Marvel, so get ready. Colin, thank you for coming on the podcast. Hey. Always a pleasure. Cam is going to be listening to this and being like, he shouldn't have said that one.
For sure. I'm surprised. Like, usually I figured if you and I were together, this is going to be a longer episode, but I think it's shorter than what you and Cam go.
Oh, usually it depends. It depends whoever is leading sets the pace. And I'm like, and I, as at least the recorder, on the recording and producing side, I get the time ticker in my top corner. I don't know if you do, but I actually get a timer for myself, so I can, like, in my head be like, okay, cool, we're on pace. And that's how I do it. But that's because I'm on the producing end. But Colin, again, thank you so much for coming. I'm guessing you will be on sooner rather than later.
We'll see what happens. I
We'll
mean,
see.
I'm only a text away. So.
Exactly. So for Colin, my name is Clifton Paul Robinson. We will see you on Monday for Miss Marvel with Cam.
Oh, wait a second, Cliff. Where can they find you?
Oh yeah, they can find me. Look at you. See, that's what Cam's good for. You see, there we go. You can find me at CP Robinson 81. You cannot find Colin anywhere on social media, and you can find the podcast at Stream the Mouse on Twitter, Streaming with the Mouse on Instagram, on our website cprob.com/stream the mouse, and on any podcast provider as well as YouTube. So thank you everyone, and may the force be with you.